So today I'm going to be showing you how to make pumpkin pie. Throughout the next month or so, I'm going to be bringing some Thanksgiving recipes and some Christmas recipes. I just decided to start with the classic. So I'm going to start with the pie crust first, and then we'll move on to the filling. By all means, you don't have to make your own pie crust. You can use like the frozen one that isn't baked. I use that all the time, especially during Thanksgiving, because I have so many things to cook. I just use that and I make my own filling, and it tastes great. Like, you don't have to make the pie crust. So what you're gonna need is, I have some all-purpose flour here, sugar and salt. You need butter, shortening, and ice water. For the butter, it has to be real butter. It can't be like the one that usually comes in the tub, which is vegetable oil spread. And you have to use shortening. They both have to be cold. The crust will not rise properly if they're not cold. And then we have some ice water to mix it up. So this is really simple. So you have the flour, sugar, and salt. I'm gonna add the butter and the shortening. And you can make this in a food processor. Just try not to pulse it a lot so that you don't melt the butter. And I'm gonna use a pastry cutter, and I'm gonna cut the butter and the shortening into the flour until it resembles like the size of peas. So this is what I mean by when the butter resembles like the size of peas. When you have little chunks like that, you can go ahead and stop. It doesn't have to be completely mixed in. So now that the butter and shortening is cut into the flour, we're gonna add the water. We're gonna add it about a tablespoon at a time because it always varies. It depends on the humidity of the day, the climate. I don't know why, but it just takes different amounts sometimes. But it should be around 5 tablespoons every single time. So I'm gonna start with 2 and then go from there. So I just have some water in here, and I put 2 ice cubes in it to make it really cold. So just add the water and stir. So this is what it's looking like after the water. It took 8 tablespoons today. You see how it's like not completely together? That's what you want. All you need is that when you pinch it in your hand, it stays together like that. So now that the water's in, just dump it out. And we're gonna go ahead and bring it together. You wanna try to get it into like the shape of a disc because it'll be easier when you have to roll it out. So just press it together. You don't have to handle it much. That's pretty much it. So now what we're gonna do is, I'm just gonna cover it with a towel. You can put plastic wrap over it, and I'm gonna put it in the fridge while we work on the filling. So now we're gonna work on the filling for it, and what you're gonna need is some evaporated milk. You're gonna need 100% pumpkin puree. So you'll find it in a can, and sometimes you'll find it where it says pumpkin pie filling. You don't want that because that already has spices and other things. I'm not really too sure what it has in it, but what you want is just plain pumpkin puree. We're gonna need eggs, sugar, like white sugar, brown sugar, cinnamon, and pumpkin pie spice. Now, if you don't have pumpkin pie spice, you don't have to use it. You can just use the cinnamon, just add a little bit more. I've done that before. The pumpkin spice just has cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, and allspice. So even if you have those ingredients separately, you can add it to this. You don't need to buy it mixed already. So this is really easy. All you're gonna do is just mix it all in a bowl. So we're gonna add the pumpkin. Now the eggs, you can just dump it all in. You don't have to do it in any kind of order. The white sugar, the brown sugar, and the spices. And now you just whisk it up. Recently on Instagram, I posted a maple pumpkin oatmeal. It's really good. I usually just tend to mix pumpkin puree into like a bunch of stuff during this season. Like, I added to pancake mix, to French toast, to like white chocolate, hot white chocolate, a lot of things. It's just so easy. So this is already mixed up. You see, it's not hard at all. The pie crust is like the most tedious thing. So I have the pie crust here. It's nice and cold. And you see how it has like, you can see the pieces of butter in it still? That's what you want. So I'm gonna go ahead and add flour to my surface here so that it doesn't stick. And I'm gonna add flour on top and some to the rolling pin. So you just start to roll this out. And you want it to be about 1/4 of an inch thick. Just somewhere in between, not too thick and not too thin, just a happy medium. So just roll it out, just turn it and roll it so that it's as even as possible, so that you can get the shape of a circle, so that it's kind of easier to put into the pie tin. I just put my pie tin over it. You can use a disposable one or one of the glass ones. And then what I do is with a pizza cutter, I cut around it and I leave about a 1/2 inch border. That way I can go ahead and crimp the sides. Put the excess to the side. And when you flour your surface really well, it's really easy to handle the dough. So make sure you just push the dough in, have it in there as evenly as possible. And then with the extra, you just fold it inwards. So this is what I mean by folding it, and just take the excess and bring it inside of the pie tin. Just like that. And then now we're gonna go ahead and crimp the edges. And the way I do it is I just take my pointer finger and I just kind of pinch it like that. And I go all around. So the pie crust is ready. Look how nice it looks. And now we're just gonna pour the filling into it. There we go. So I have some left over here. I'm working with a pretty shallow pie dish. If you're using a glass one, it should all fit in there. You can just put in any kind of baking dish. I'm gonna go ahead and roll out this extra crust and put it in there. Pies are all ready to go in the oven. I'm gonna pop them in the oven. When they come out, I'm gonna put them in the fridge and let them cool completely. And when they're ready to eat, I'll show you what they look like. Our pie is out of the oven and out of the fridge. Look how nice the crust is. So I baked it at 400 degrees for about 40 minutes. You don't want it to let it bake for more than like 45, because if it does, it'll crack in the middle. If it does, don't worry about it, because it doesn't change the flavor. So when it comes out of the oven, I let it cool down on the counter for about an hour, and then I put it in the fridge, and it's only been about 2 hours. It's a little cold, but I would recommend leaving it in the fridge for about 4 hours before you serve it. So I like to serve it with Cool Whip in the middle. You don't have to do this, but it just tastes so good. So I do that, and then you can just decorate it with more pumpkin pie spice. And that'll look so nice like on your Thanksgiving table. So let's serve it up. Final result, look how nice. Tastes so good. I only make this once a year, so when I make it, I get my fix. The recipe will be on my website, eatingitupblog.com, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.